welcome once again to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Yeah, that spells out more. Aren't we the marketing geniuses around here? Hi, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Randy. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. This has been a really great week, and I love talking to people out there and just discussing financial matters. But let's get down to the bottom line, Randy. What do we have going on today?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the advantages that I have, I think, right now, being 65 years old, is I'm going through this, and then I see a lot of my friends who are going through this, and they're going through this at different levels. Some of them have already retired. They're feeling good about life. Others, I have friends that go, I'll never retire, or I'm just totally confused with it, or I hear this a lot. I'm just going to go one more year, Randy, just one more year, and then I'm going to retire. And it's called one more year syndrome. People just pushing it off. And sometimes there's a logical answer for it. If you're 64, you push one more year, you get to Medicare. You're 66, you push one more year, you get to your full Social Security. I get that. But I got an article in front of me, Mark, that says some of that whole one more year thing isn't panning out for people, because if you're trying to get a higher Social Security, in a couple of years, they're probably going to cut that back. And there's other reasons for this as well. So if you were to sit down with somebody and they're thinking, Mark, I think I can retire. Maybe I can retire. Maybe I should just go one more year. What does that conversation look like? Is it usually end up with, yeah, you got to go one more year? Or guess what? You can retire right now. What are you seeing out there?
You know, I'll let a person know if they can retire right now. I have no shame in that. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I'll hit right off the top. But I'll say that if you want to keep working, a lot of times when I hear this from people, it's usually not about them deferring Social Security or anything else like that. It's the fact of them just letting go of the reins of working and used to the income and used to the job and used to the routine. Because when you retire, the routine changes, right? And so that's one of the big ones. And if you ever met Randy Cook in person, let me just tell you, he doesn't look 65. He looks like my age. I'm about to turn 49. He looks like me.
Oh,
okay?
You say the nicest things. Well, you may feel like you got to go a little longer. You may look at the numbers and feel like you got to go a little bit longer. But that, I think you've hit it, is that people, they don't want to walk away from that paycheck, because that's the big thing. Is my paycheck that I generate going to be as good as what my employer is doing? And Mark, that's where you come in, is to show them that whole paycheck and income part of it, which is probably the big hang up, isn't it?
It is. And that's the thing. Can I make this work? Because people can get really concerned about passive income. And we're talking about passive income. It's not what are you earning for revenue at work. You know, you're not getting that paycheck anymore. So you're thinking about, do I have to use this money? Do I have a pension? Do I have Social Security? Okay, I'm a little nervous. The Social Security system seems like it's broken. They're talking about reducing our Social Security in the future by 28%.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a conversation. Let's look at your Social Security. Let's look at if you have a pension or not. Let's look at your assets. Let's have a conversation about what we can do with these assets. Let's see if we can reduce the risk a little bit. These are the conversations we have. And I have people coming to me in their 40s that just want passive income and want to retire now. I get it. If you have the assets, we probably have a result that's going to be positive for you. We can probably show you the path of where to go. But we have to have that conversation. That's why if you come in and talk to us at our office at 919 Kildare Farm Road, Suite 1-B, and I love that address, 919, because it's our area code. It's an easy place to find. But we're here in Cary. Love to have you here. If not, Zoom call, whatever it might be. But this is what we do. We want to look you in the eye and say, you can retire. Yeah. You can retire right now. And that's the conversation we want to have.
If you're in your 60s right now and you are looking at math right in front of your face, and one said, here's what your income is. And if you retire, here's what your income is. If those were the same number, wouldn't you want to walk away? Or you go to work with a whole new attitude, and then usually what happens is within 6 months you go, yeah, I'm out. So do you find that, Mark, that when the math is right in front of them, that they don't last very long at work because, they're having a hard time letting go, but when the paycheck is there, that's got to be a good feeling.
That's the thing. You take that to the bank. You say, I've got that paycheck. I feel comfortable. I'm good. And you keep working. The question is, do you enjoy what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you enjoy what you're doing, keep working and we can continue to do the retirement planning around it. Okay. But if you're getting to that point where you realize either my health is at risk or I want to do some traveling, let's have a real conversation, because I know that if they have not released you, if they have not fired you at this point and you're 66 years old, they're probably enjoying the fact that they're hiring you and they're paying you and you're doing a job.
Yeah.
So let's have a conversation about whether you need to have somebody trained to take over your position because they're liking you being there. So let's have that conversation about, hey, do you want to retire? If you do, let's show you the path. Now, if you want to retire in 2 or 3 years or 5 years, 10 years, let's show you the path. That's the conversation we're really having. 1 more year? I don't care. If you really like it, go for it. We want to be cheerleaders for you. We want to help you along the way. That's our job.
You know, there's sometimes when I go out to lunch and I walk outside to go to my car and it's a beautiful 75-degree clear day and I go, what am I doing in here? I should be out there. And if you feel that way, it's time for that meeting. It's time to just do the math on your retirement. Maybe we can get you out there and not inside in the cubicle behind the desk. Give Mark a call. We'll do a no-cost, no-obligation meeting at your retirement. We're going to just sit down and run those numbers and see what comes out. Maybe 1 more year is not what you need. Maybe getting into retirement is. 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. No cost, no obligation meeting. Really, it's a question and answer time to see what your concerns are about retirement. Let's get your questions answered. You can use the website too, moretoretire.com. Just spell it right out. Well, everybody's talking and complaining about gas prices right now. I get it. We all are. And every time this happens, we all start to get informed. How much is a barrel of oil, you know? And I'm going to give you what I think is the authority on what oil prices should be right now. He is Billy Bob Thornton on Landman.
You want oil to live above 60 but below 90. And don't get me wrong, we're still printing money at 90, but gas gets up over $3.50 a gallon, it starts to pinch. It hits 100, every product in America has to readjust its price. $78 a barrel, that's about perfect. You know, it brings enough profit to keep exploring, but it don't sting as much at the pump. Unless, of course, you're in California. I mean, they tax the out of it out there.
Have you watched Landman? My gosh, what a great show.
No, I have not watched. I guess I need to watch.
You have to watch. You have to watch. It's fantastic. But $78 a barrel apparently is the sweet spot. So we know that from Billy Bob. I want to turn this a different way. The sweet spot for interest rates, because there's a big old fight going on about that right now. Should we lower them? Should we sit on them? Should we raise them? They're expecting that they are going to lower interest rates twice before the end of the year. And talk to me a little bit about that. Do interest rates mean that much to the retiree, and why?
They do. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up. This is a conversation I've had recently with 2 different people. So I met someone recently that has a bunch of money in CDs, okay, at 3 different banks. And some of them are paying in the 3s and some of them are only paying in the 2s, right? And you're wondering, you know, what can I do different than that? Well, there are things called multi-year guarantee annuities out there, and they're paying a lot more than that depending on the terms that you pick. So my suggestion is let's have a conversation if you want to make some more interest rates, okay? Now, the other thing is, why would you want to talk to me about that right now? But because if they lower interest rates, these products are interest sensitive, so they change. I'm going to tell you, in my entire 25-year career, especially around insurance products, that I've never seen premium bonuses this high in my entire life. And I say premium bonuses, those are the ones that are immediately death benefit bonuses and immediately money that you could walk away with after the term of the annuity. Okay, not those fake ones that are income bonuses and stuff like that. Premium bonuses have never been higher than they are right now. And interest rates are at such a great place for like multi-year guarantee annuities, or sometimes these other fixed index annuities that have these death benefit riders that allow dollar for dollar withdrawal privileges. They have these rates that they're going to lower at some point. So when they start lowering these rates, when we start seeing things get even and start to come down, that's what's going to happen, because you can sort of feel it in the air. I watch the economy like a crazy person. And the one thing I do when I do presentations is I bring up where interest rates are at. I was using North Carolina State Employees Credit Union recently at a seminar and bringing up how the interest rates are hardly any different from 6 months to 5 years. It's almost level across the board. That's when you get the feeling of they don't know what's going on. They don't have a true identity or idea of where to go with these rates because we haven't been dictated. What I can say is the war created inflation even more. And now with the treaty in place, people are like, oh, is it finally going to level off? Or, oil prices coming down and hey, because of all of this and we have access to the Strait of Hormuz, right? What's going to happen? Are we going to be able to level off interest rates and lower interest rates? Well, if we do, that's great for the younger people, but not so great for the older people that need the interest rates. So if you need to lock something in, now's the time to look at it. Now's the time to have a conversation with me.
One of the things that many people are adverse to is that stock market and all the risk and the up and down that goes with it. So you're looking for a place to put money that is not susceptible to all of that back and forth and up and down in the market. So you look at things like structured notes and you look at CDs and you look at annuities and you look at money markets. Those things are all interest dependent. So as interest rates have been higher, these have been good products to take a look at for retirement. So it's a conversation that you can have with Mark. I remember being at the grocery store, and they have a bank kiosk over there, and they used to put signs up, and it would have the interest rate, and it said like 0.02%. And I was like, really? You're so proud of that? You built a sign? Now we're looking at 3s and 4s and 5s and 6% out there. This is a really good time to have this conversation. Talk to Mark, find out what options are out there outside the risk of the market. Here's the number. Here's the website. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984, or use the website. It is moretoretire.com. All right, so we mentioned this. A 60-40 portfolio, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Stocks for the growth, bonds for the protection. It's been kind of a standard for an awfully long time. Worked for an awfully long time. Until it didn't. And that's when interest rates started doing what it was doing. So Vanguard has now come out and said, here's what you should consider. Flip it. It should be 40% stocks and 60% bonds. And that sounds more to me like a retirement portfolio, like that 100 minus your age thing. So, Mark, is 40-60 more in line with what your clients do? Do you think this is reasonable, or is this kind of crazy?
Well, first of all, I wonder, people like Vanguard and all the folks out there putting out this information, do they think we're stupid? Do they think we're just absolute idiots? Hey, we're going to switch it from 60-40 to 40-60. It's going to solve the problems of all the retirees in America.
Brilliant.
Wow. So let's just be honest. Well, first of all, if Vanguard's 60-40 portfolio is not working, you should talk to us about our Market Guard portfolio of 60-40 because it's working. All right. I literally flipped a guy that was 40-60 in Schwab to 60-40 with us. Why? Because I know the difference. All right. I know what ETFs we're looking at when we're building these portfolios. I know what Market Guard's doing. I know about how Market Guard does our pure equity model with 100 stocks. It's always in 100 stocks. It rebalances every quarter, and it can be drastically different from quarter to quarter, okay? Then if you ask me about some of my personal preferences, I've got 5 different ETFs that I think are great equity ETFs if a person's just looking to be bullish in the market. So let's have a conversation about these things. I love to talk about this. But if you're looking for flipping 60-40 to 40-60, let's have a real conversation about risk. Let's talk about risk and return, and let's talk about what we stand by here at the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience, which is the acronym PIG, Preservation, Income, and Growth. We are going to stand by this left and right. So first, if you want to retire, how much money do we want to have at risk and how much do we want to have in preservation tactics? Because if we're going to pull income from money, we want to pull them from preservation tactics that are built in place. So if we have the preservation for the income, then we need to prepare for taxes and inflation with it. If we do all of those things, then we can grow the rest of the money sensibly. Now, do I want to rely on dividends for income in retirement? maybe for a portion of your money. I don't have a problem for that for a portion of your money. Do I want to rely on some structured notes for a portion of your income in retirement? Sure. But I also want to look at probably the possibility of talking about annuities, fixed index annuities. Maybe you need an income rider. If you're building off a certain amount of money, you might need to build in an income rider. These are real conversations we need to have about your income, because if we have an income plan in place, we can grow everything else successfully. Look, I had somebody come in. They had just moved all their money to Fisher Investments because they weren't, the money wasn't growing the way they wanted it to grow. It was kind of stagnant at a custodian, just general planning. And Fisher Investments, they're very good as money managers, as wealth advisors. They're very good at growing your money and doing those things. But what Fisher Investments doesn't do is the overall comprehensive financial planning that we're talking about with regards to building income. They don't do annuities, but the funny thing is they invest in stocks that happen to be companies that actually produce a lot of annuities. So think about that for a second. So I'm just going to be honest with you. If you want some preservation tactics built in place, annuities are great. Some structured notes, depending on how much risk we build in, are very good as well, and sometimes some dividends as well. We can do all of those things, but multi-year guarantee annuities with fixed interest rates, or a fixed index annuity that has a rider attached to it, or something with preservation tactics built in place, these are great things you can use in retirement. So please, if you're going to go to Vanguard and they're going to flip you 60-40 to 40-60, they just solved everything.
I think last week when you and I were talking about target date funds, and the concept in a target date fund is moving you more and more and more and more toward bonds. That's their idea of becoming more conservative and moving more toward preservation. But we've all talked about on this show that with interest rates going the way they are and maybe going down, that may not help in the bond area. So some of these options that Mark is talking about here might be other options you could look at in that preservation side. If you're not down with the stock market, you don't like all the risk, you want to have some income, you want to have some growth, it's not always stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Let's talk through all those options. Give Mark a call. Let's talk about what it is for you and what you're comfortable with. 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. Or online, it's more2retire.com. Just spell it right out. There's a place for you on the website to put some information there, and the team will reach out to you. So I don't know how the TV watching is at your house, but Julie usually rules the TV. We watch what she wants to watch. And she is a big fan of hospital shows. I have seen everything from every episode of Grey's Anatomy all the way back to Marcus Welby. So do you have a man cave where you go to get away from all this? Because it's nothing but women in your house. You've got 4 daughters and a wife. So it's a lot of estrogen going on there.
I do. And the oldest 2 daughters come back and forth. So the oldest one, she has her apartment in Raleigh, in Six Forks area, like a beautiful place, right? And then my second oldest daughter, she goes to ECU, but she comes back and she stays with us. So I literally will have most consistently 2 or 3 daughters in my house, because my youngest ones are 13 and 9. Mm-hmm. I don't have a man cave. And I put up this beautiful 75-inch TV in the living room, and we have to fight about it sometimes, I mean, there's some battles going on there. But, yeah, I watched Grey's Anatomy when it first came out, 22 seasons ago, whatever. Yeah. And we watched it for a couple of seasons, and then I had enough.
Which is what most people do, but they just signed another contract for season 23.
This is nuts. I was in my 20s when this came out, okay? This is crazy. What's the purpose of this, Randy?
Well, sometimes, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it works. Sometimes we do the same thing over and over and over again, and it doesn't work. And that's where I want to go here today, financially speaking. Because, Mark, there are times that, I mentioned stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. That's what everybody's done for years. Pensions, that's what everybody's done for years. But things are changing. Some of these things aren't necessarily the standard that they used to be. Are there things that people bring to the table, or are there things that you see that people have used in the past that may not be as effective as what they used to be?
Yes. I mean, look, if you're just, you got a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and you're retired and you've got a massive amount of money, I get it. But for the general people out there, and I'm talking to you, let's say you have $1 million saved up. Let's say you have $750,000 saved up. I'm talking to you directly right now. I want you to hear this. Let's build an income plan together for retirement, okay? Because just diversifying and growing your money and wealth, that's based on you being in a stage of life of trying to make as much money as possible. We call that accumulation. But when you're getting closer and closer to retirement, we're looking for preservation/distribution. So you preserve what you worked your whole life for, you distribute it to yourself properly, and you've built that in place. Then you can grow everything else and not have to worry as much, right? So you've got that built in place. That's who I'm talking to right now. I want you to hear this. This is very important because we are very intentional about the people we want to sit down with and talk to. Now, if you have a bunch of money and you want to make more money on your money, we can do that too. But for the folks that need an income plan, the people that want to retire and they have this set amount of money built up, let's build an income plan together. Let's get something on the books and let's set it up for you, because now is the time to talk about this, because if interest rates change and these products are affected, and you mentioned structured notes. Yes, structured notes are affected. They're interest sensitive as well. So what will that do to the bond market? Well, if you locked in bonds now, obviously what would happen is your bond would be able to be valued a little higher. So somebody might want to buy your bond because you have a higher interest rate because interest rate's lowered, right? But I don't necessarily know that that's what I would want to look at, okay? Why wouldn't you lock yourself into something a little bit different? Like a multi-year guarantee annuity, because that actually has some things built in for preservation. A bond is just saying that if the company goes out of business, you're at the front, right? But it doesn't necessarily give you any type of safety measure other than that. So let's just have this conversation about what's a good fit for you. Because if you're doing something that used to work and it's not working anymore because you're at a different stage of life, or because the investments aren't working out, or the advisor's just lazy, then let's have this conversation. Because one of the things that I want to discuss is whether or not you want to keep doing something that's not working anymore, because that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that happen for anybody.
One of the things you and I have talked about that I think has changed completely is people used to buy gold as a hedge against inflation. They used to buy gold as a hedge against the market, because usually as gold would go up, the market would go down and vice versa. But now gold has become different. It's like people are buying gold now for an investment and not a hedge. So that would be kind of a change that I've seen in the last couple of years. And so these are the kind of things that I think change, and we've got to change with them. And if you don't want to be deep into the headlines and deal with this, let Marc do that. That's what he does. Let's figure out what your happy place is on your little pie chart. How much growth and stock market do you want? How much preservation do you want? What do you need for growth? Let's talk through all of that. And Marc will do that for you at no charge. It's a no cost, no obligation look at your retirement. Really, it's a conversation. 984-300-1984 is the number. 984-300-1984, or use the website, which is more2retire.com. We're going to take a quick break, and there is an article out there that says many retirement plans fail in the first 5 years. Why is that, and what do we do about it? That's coming up on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
A simple piece of paper. It's something we use every day. For the most part, it does what it's designed to do. It sits there flat on your desk as a placeholder for information. But with a couple strategic folds, suddenly your flat piece of paper becomes an airplane and flies across the room. Your 401k is kind of like that flat piece of paper. It just sits there as a placeholder for your money. Marc Oslar can show you those strategic moves to take your 401k from just sitting there to creating the income you need for retirement. Call today for a free no-obligation meeting. 984-300-1984. That's 984-300-1984. Or online at more2retire.com.
Welcome back to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Online, it is moreToRetire.com. Also online, if you'd like to hear the podcast of this show, maybe you caught a little bit of it, you got in just a couple of minutes ago, you want to hear the whole thing, and past shows as well. They're all on our podcast, iTunes and Spotify. Just look up the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience, and it'll all be right there for you. So it's kind of common, I think, for people to go into retirement and kind of tiptoe their way in. It's kind of like walking on rocks barefoot. You know, you hope you hit the smooth rocks, but every now and then you step on a sharp one. We want to avoid that at all costs. People ease their way into retirement. Why is that? Well, we're afraid we're going to run out of money. That has been pounded into our heads. And here's another fact that will probably add to that. It says 70% of retirement plans that fail because of something that happened in the first 5 years of retirement. So, Mark, what is going on there? What is it that people are easing their way in and they're trying to do it themselves, and then 5 years in they figure out, oh, crap, I should have sat down with Mark? Or they spend so much that they realize I'm spending way more than I thought. I suppose all of those things could happen. What do you see? Do you see people come into retirement and something goes wrong and then they come see you? What do you see?
Yeah, I've had that happen. I mean, let's start from the treetop view. So I know we talk about our process guide and everything, and that's right there on our website under process tab. You click on that and you'll see treetop view. That's where we start, okay? I'm going to start at the treetop view here. Here's a story. We went to Jamaica over a decade ago, and they have this Dunn's River Falls area where you climb the Dunn's River Falls, right?
Okay.
And you do this as a group, and they give you water shoes to rent if you don't have your own water shoes, okay? But they do have some holes in them, all right? And that's because obviously you want you to breathe and all that stuff, but they don't want you to hurt your foot on the rocks. Okay, so you start out holding hands walking up this thing, and let me just tell you, I wasn't enjoying it. It was feeling quite uncomfortable, all right? Okay. Then you start going your own route. I'm picking up rocks left and right in my shoes, okay? It's hurt. And there's a couple of drop-offs where you can walk off and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember right before one of them, I stepped into a hole so deep it came all the way up my leg, and it hurt. I pulled something. It was painful. I thought, I think I want to get off here. Amy's like, my wife Amy, she's like, no, you can't quit now. I was like, did you see what I just stepped in? Come on. You got to keep going, Mark. I said, all right, I'll keep going. And I kept going. And I told her, I said, I got so many rocks in my shoes. And then we were with this other couple, Wade and his wife. I can't remember. I haven't seen them in years. They work for one of the insurance companies that was there. And he's like, Mark, we all got rocks in our shoes. So we get back to where we take our shoes off. They're all chucking out some rocks. I take my shoes off, dumping out rocks, and they just fall on the floor laughing because they're like, they didn't believe me. I had a bunch of rocks in my shoes. It hurt like heck. Okay? Well, that's the point. The point is we don't want to step on too many rocks, right? We want to get you on a smooth path, all right? Let's pave that gravel road. Let's make it a smooth transition for you, okay? That's what we want. We want to start with the treetop view of where you're at, and then we want to see where you want to go. Let's discover your retirement desires and your dreams and what you want to do, and then let's put a plan together. Because if we do all those things, we can then realize our Ric Flair moment. Right? We can, the nature boy, you can just start coming out of you.
Here
You're
goes.
Going to be going, woo, left and right. Left and right. You're going to feel good. You're going to be styling and profiling. You're going to be working with us. And that's what's going to happen. And we're going to give you ongoing support, and we're going to get you to the places you need to be, but you need to have a plan in place, the right plan, preservation, income, and growth. You get those preservation tactics built in place for your income, and then we prepare for taxes and inflation around it, and then we can grow everything else. So we need to determine risk profile, what you need for income, when you're going to retire, all of these things. We're going to knock it out of the park. And then unexpected expenses, because we build up what we're planning to use for income versus our expenses, right? But when we look at our expenses, are we counting everything? Are we counting, the oil changes, rotations, balance, alignment? Are we counting property taxes? Are we counting property taxes on your vehicle? Are we counting, what gifts we're going to buy for people at Christmas or when we're going to baby showers and these different things? All of this matters. And that's why we have to build this in place and understand it.
You know, one of the things that we don't want for you is to get into retirement and then you get a couple of years in and you look at your money and you go, holy cow, I'm spending way more money than what I thought. And then you're in a fix. Or you get to RMD age, you're 73 or you're 75, and you got to start taking that first RMD out. And then all of a sudden, that amount throws you into a higher tax bracket, and it affects your Social Security. It affects your Medicare, all these different things. These are those rocks that people trip over when they try to do their retirement planning themselves. And you run into a place a couple of years into retirement, and then you're going, okay, I got to go see a financial advisor. And you do, but your options at that point are more limited than if you were to see them 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Let's have that meeting now. Let's head off those rocks in the future, those sharp rocks that we're talking about here today. Let's get a look at it, because Marc's gone through retirement many times with a lot of different people, and he's seen some of those things that happen in the future. Let's show them to you, and let's have a plan for them. Here's the number. It's 984-300-1984. What happens there? That is a meeting. It's a no cost, no obligation meeting, really to sit down and talk about your concerns. What are your questions? What do you want to know? What do you want to know about your retirement? Let's get going. 984-300-1984, or the website is more2retire.com. Well, we talk about how every retirement is different. We're all going to, some people want to travel, some people don't. Some people want to do one thing, and some people are going to live a long time in their 90s. Other people may not. So your retirement plan is going to be different from anybody else's. If you own a business, that means you have some special needs. There are 2 to 3 million baby boomers that own small businesses. They employ 32 million people, and they generate $6.5 trillion into our economy. And these people are going to be retiring, and only half of them have a succession plan. That means, one of the kids is going to take over, or they're going to sell the business, whatever it is. Mark, this is a touchy area. It's a complicated area, and it means a lot of different kind of planning. So have you helped business owners sell their business and make that business their retirement, or what are they up against when you sit down with them?
So cool you asked me this question, because I love, talking about these things, because we get into all levels of planning, all right? Succession planning, it's important to understand, because I'm a small business owner, okay? There's 4 of us, right. All right? We're gonna build something little by little by little. I'm still young enough, but we have something in place in case something happens, because you have to, okay? Now, with that being said, you want to sell a business or a piece of prime real estate, and you're going to be hit with a bunch of taxes, and you're talking about a lot. And let's say you don't want to go back into real estate or Delaware statutory trust. There's some other stuff that you can do. I know a group that can handle that transaction and do something for you and set you up. This is what we do. We partner with people, or we work with folks on the side and make sure that our clients are taken care of, that they're well taken care of. We work with the attorneys, the CPAs, all the appropriate professionals to make sure that you do the planning you need. So yes, if you need to sell something or do something, we can assist in this process and watch you smile on the way to retirement. So this is a big part of retirement planning.
Yeah, Uncle Sam looks at you in a whole different way, because maybe you own a pizza restaurant, or you have a dental practice or something like that, and it's been really good to you. You're pulling a couple $100,000 out of that a year. And then you sell it for a couple $1 million. And Uncle Sam says, oh, look at him. He just went from $300,000 a year to $3 million. And you get hammered on taxes for 1 year because you were in that tax bracket. Can you avoid that? Is there a way to ease your way in to retirement also with taxes? Let's talk through that. Give Mark a call. Here's the number. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984, or the website is more2retire.com. So you hear all these stories, Mark, and you and I have talked about them a lot. People, you see the headlines. You need $1.5 million to retire. You need $1.8 million to retire, and on they go. Well, let me give you a couple of stats here. There are only 3% of Americans that have saved $1 million for retirement. there are 4% of Americans that have saved $500,000 to $1 million for retirement. So 93% of us are in this category of $0 to $500,000 saved for retirement. So first of all, let's get this out of your mind right now that I don't have enough money in order to rationalize a financial advisor. Look, this is your fortune. We need to treat it that way. So Mark, is the planning for somebody who comes in that saved $100,000 to $500,000, is it that much different than somebody who saved a lot of money? Tell me the differences there and what special treatment people have to have.
It comes down to what you're spending, what you're planning to spend, what you're planning to do in retirement. You know, some people, they have hardly any expenses. I got a client that we're looking at his expenses, and I'm thinking, you can retire off of your Social Security, your wife's Social Security, the little pension you have. You don't need anything else if you don't want it, okay? So the assets you have with me, they're just going to keep growing, okay?
Yep.
But he wanted to reduce risk and build the money, and in case he needs some money in the future, pull some money from something, or, hey, you know, we have some repairs around the house. I get it. But I got a client that have maybe $300,000 saved up, and they rent a house in retirement. It's pretty simple. They don't have all the extra expenses, and it's comfortable for them. Now, listen. If we do brokerage for people, we charge a fee. That's a fiduciary standard of care of the business. If we have money affixed in an annuity or life insurance policy or a long-term care policy, whatever those might be, those are commission-based products. They don't come out of your pocket. They come from the insurance company. But usually you have, a surrender charges attached to those types of policies, okay? And they're for a certain number of years. We use all of these things to make sure that a client feels comfortable in retirement, and you could have $300,000 and you could possibly retire. We just need to look at the picture, see what you're spending, what you're planning to do with your money, and so on and so forth. And that's the real conversation we can have.
It seems to me that somebody who is in that 93% area, that up to $500,000, that there would be more emphasis on preservation. Because to me, if you're working with that amount of money, one bad market, one bad tax mistake, one health event, something like that can really throw things into a problem. So is there more emphasis there on tax planning, on preservation, and making sure that the income is there no matter what the rest of the world does?
Yes, I think that you hit the nail on the head there. The less money you have, you probably want to look for more preservation tactics for an annuity. You don't want to put the money that you need liquid into the annuity. Annuities allow you 5 or 10 or 7% penalty free. Usually after 1 year, most of them allow 10% penalty free, sometimes within the first year. But you don't want to put the liquid money you need into an annuity. We need to plan for the liquid money. Now, if you have money in the market with me, it is liquid. We could just, sell a position, liquidate the funds, send it to your bank, so on and so forth. That's liquid. Money market money, that's liquid. Money at the bank, that's liquid. Treasuries, for the most part, fairly liquid. CDs, for the most part, fairly liquid. We need to make sure you have enough liquid money. But if we're building around annuities for preservation tactics, for income, things like that, we just need to make sure it's specifically for the income or whatever it might be, especially depending on what you have saved for retirement. But preservation is really key with the less money you have, because you need to have some type of feeling of certainty of knowing when you put your head on the pillow at night and when you pick it up from the pillow in the morning that money has hit the bank.
Well, to me, somebody who walks into retirement with $6 million and the market gets cut in half, that person has $3 million. They're probably going to be okay. If you have $400,000 and the market gets cut in half and you got all your money at risk, now you've got $200,000. That makes me nervous. So there's, an example right there, Mark, of the difference that the literal safety net that you've got to have for people. They've got to have the income for their basic expenses in life. They're going to build something in there for preservation so that if the market goes haywire, they don't get hurt for the rest of their retirement and actually have to make lifestyle changes because of what's going on in the economy.
That's right. And that's the key. So yes, if you got, $6, $8, $10 million, the market corrects. Well, if you're pulling a bunch of income off of it, that could have a drastic effect, right? Because we talk about sequence of returns, it could. But if you're really not, if it's not really changing your life either way, if there's a downturn in the market or we have a recession and the market drops anything like 2000 to 2002, where it dropped 49%, or if it drops 56.5% like 07 to 09 on the S&P, I mean, these types of things can occur. Maybe it won't, but yes, could 56.5% drop affect your retirement on $400,000? Yeah, now you have less than $200,000. What if you're pulling income from it, and so on and so forth? That's accumulation. Accumulation is when you're trying to make the most money possible. We're looking at preservation and distribution and preparing for taxes and inflation with that. And if we do that, then we don't have to worry about the rest of the money that might have some risk attached to it.
So 2 things I hope you walk away from on this story. Number one, 93% of people in this country have saved $500,000 or less. If you're in that category, don't think that you failed. You have built this castle. It is your fortune. It is Mark's job to build a moat around your castle. Let's protect, let's preserve, let's have a plan for that money. And as things happen in life, and they will, let's have a plan for that as well. Give Mark a call. Here's the number. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984, or online it's moretoretire.com. There's a place there for you to put some information in. Mark and the team will reach out to you, and let's get a date on a calendar. Let's talk through the details of your retirement. And if you're nervous and you're saying, I don't think I've saved enough, and you got one more year syndrome, let's talk through all that too. 984-300-1984. Well, Mark, it's Father's Day weekend. And you're a dad. You've got 4 girls out there. Do you do anything special? I mean, do they surprise you? Are you showered with gifts? Or are you sitting there doing all the cooking for your own Father's Day?
So a guy that was originally born in Philadelphia, raised in South Jersey. I'm half Italian. My mother was born in Italy. I'm really pretty simple. I love sandwiches, okay? That's a real easy thing. And if you want to make me happy, maybe I'll grill a steak or whatever, and, maybe sip on a beer while I grill the steak. Fantastic, right? That makes my life super easy, all right? I enjoy those things. It's fantastic. That's what I look forward to. And I look forward to calling my father on Father's Day. He's 83. He's going to be 84 in October. And I like having a conversation with him where usually on Father's Day, he wants to watch the Phillies. Okay, so, I'll give him a call. He's watching the Phillies. We'll talk about it because he can watch them live, but I'm down here in North Carolina, so I can't watch them live usually unless they're broadcasted nationally. So we'll have a conversation, talk about things. We'll catch up on boxing. We'll catch up on other sports and everything. And, fantastic for the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup
my gosh,
as well.
I know.
What a great victory. They really pulled it through, and I'm so happy for the whole team, happy for the area, just fired up. But yeah, Father's Day, I mean, the parade's here, was here on Saturday and everything, fantastic stuff.
So did your dad have some lessons that he passed on to you, financially speaking? Here you are in this business. Did he have an influence on you money-wise?
Yeah, he did. He, as well as the rest of my family, they're all in the mortgage business. So in some sense, I got all of my numbers, gifts that come from him. Now, my brain is a very interesting one, okay? His brain works a lot faster than mine, processes data a lot faster. Mine works slow and methodical. However, there's a numbers gift there. But I realized that my brain is a gift in a way that maybe it wasn't great at taking tests because I'm so slow and doing those things. But what happens is when I retain something, it's like a steel trap, and then I can expand upon it. And that's why planning and those things were a gift. So the numbers thing comes directly from my father, and I am the only one that's a financial advisor. Everyone else is in the mortgage business. But I definitely got the numbers gift from my father.
They're helping people get in homes. You're helping people retire. All right. Well, I got one Father's Day story for you here. This is at a restaurant in Mobile, Alabama. It's an oyster restaurant, okay? And they have a sign, and they've had that sign up for years, and it says, on your 80th birthday, if you turn 80, bring in your dad, and you can eat free. And not a lot of people obviously take them up on that, but Jim and Jimmy Rush actually did.
Every year we ask them about the sign, and they tell us every year we're waiting on us to come in. So it finally happened. We had oysters, we had for everybody there, and we really, really had a good time. We finally did it. We had a great party. I don't think I could have had a better 80th birthday.
There you go. 80, and Dad is 99.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I didn't know. Wow, my gosh.
Okay, so here's a question. Jimmy comes in to see you, and Dad's, Jim is 99 and he's 80. I mean, obviously they have longevity in their family. I don't have that in my family, but they sure do. So that brings up another retirement planning challenge, is that we've got to make this money go not to 85, not to 95. We got to actually think about going to 100 with this money. So talk to me a little bit about that. That brings up a new challenge, doesn't it?
Sure, it does. I mean, it's funny. It brings up a story of my past as well. When I was a young advisor, and a client's husband passed away, and I just met the client, and we had moved a non-qualified annuity that she was the beneficiary of for him into another non-qualified annuity. And they usually allow you through the tax code for a spouse to be able to take over a non-qualified annuity and keep deferring it, right? And you can still move it from product to product with the death benefit. It has to be done the right way, okay? But there was something else. Over the course of a couple of years of getting to know her, she was kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, but I would say very sad about losing her husband. Mm-hmm. And her health had declined a bit, and she was 78 years old at this point. And I said, there's an insurance company right now that has this policy available. So what we did was we built in this single premium life insurance policy. And what I did was I had it set where it had a guarantee to 100 years old, but it was projected to 121. Okay. All right.
So you show that to her on a piece of paper. We got you till 120.
Yes.
What does she say to that?
She has 3 kids, $300,000 death benefit, $100,000 to each kid, right? Fantastic. Great. She took it. We did it. And then I started getting nervous. Why? Because if you look at the system of 20 plus years ago till now, interest rates dropped tremendously. And so it literally went down to this universal life policy, went down to the guaranteed minimum. And I'm watching this thing year after year. And I'm thinking, she's still living. She's telling me she's sick, she's going to die, and she keeps living. And finally, she passed away at 96. I don't want her to die, but she was in an old age home, but she made it all the way to 96. And I was nervous as heck because I was starting to talk to the kids. I was like, you guys might have to add something if she gets to 100. They're like, we don't want to add anything. I thought. So in my 20s, I realized a long time ago how to price these policies out. Okay, that's one thing that popped up. I just thought about that, Randy. I thought I'd bring that up because it was a great story from my past. But, when you look at these things and you look at, how things have changed and, longevity. Yeah, if a person's living longer, we need to plan for these things because, you could die from a lot of different things, but what if you have longevity and what if things work out and what if you do live a long time? Well, let's plan for that.
Yeah, we all know, we've got grandparents, and how long did they live? How long did your parents live? All this, those are things that we have to accommodate for when you sit down and build a retirement plan. And Mark, we got just a minute or two here that we can talk a little bit about the process, and that really is part of the beginning of the discussion, that treetop view that you start out about and just getting to know you. And questions like that are going to be revealing, and it's going to give you kind of a roadmap as to how you're going to go about this.
Sure. So in Treetop View, a lot of times people will say, well, can you look at our brokerage portfolio or our 401k or whatever? Sure. You can go to my website, moretoretire.com. You can scroll to the bottom of the screen and say, hey, I want to talk to you, Mark. Here, it'll come straight to my email and my team's email. We'll talk to you, go over some stuff. If you want to send me the statements too, you can go to the top of the screen of moretoretire.com. There's a secure upload button. What we do is we run a financial report and we give you the data behind it, risk, return, all of that stuff. The wobble effect, the standard deviation, as we talk about in here. Yeah, we do all those things. Treetop View is a part of all of that. And then we get into diving into your retirement desires and your dreams and those things. Then we start to develop a real retirement plan for you. We do that. It's customized for you. Then after that, you become a client. I told you that was your Ric Flair moment. You're walking around styling, profiling. You become part of our client, our team. We love you. You're part of the family. And then we're going to give you ongoing support, and we're going to help you make changes and adjustments and switches as we need to through that process. So those are our 5 steps. Changes and adjustments are 4, and 5 is ongoing support. We're going to be here for you. We're going to help you, and we're going to be a part of your financial future because that's what we plan to do. We're right here at 919 Kildare Farm Road, Suite 1-B. We're right near the corner of Kildare Farm and Maynard Road. Very easy place to find, right across the street from Truist Bank. Please come talk to us, set an appointment, visit with us. We love to get to know you.
As Mark goes through that process there, I want to ask you, have you had that kind of a conversation about your retirement? Have you kind of dreamed a little bit and said, this is what I want to do, and then really take stock in what you have and how comfortable you are with stock markets and what questions you have about Social Security and healthcare and longevity, like we've just been talking about? These are all the things that need to get out on the table and walk through, discuss through, and actually have a plan for. Let's sit down and do that. Here is the number. Here's the website. It's a no-cost, no-obligation look at your retirement. What it really is, it's a meeting to have a conversation about your retirement. 984-300-1984, 984-300-1984, or use the website, which is moretoretire.com. That is all the time that we have for today. We thank you so much. Have a great Father's Day weekend. We'll be here next week. We hope you will be too. Have a great weekend.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute legal or tax advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties that have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations for a wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.